HarperCollins presents Spring Tides at Swallowtail Bay by Katie Ginger. Read by Gloria Sanders. Chapter 1. Oh! Ow! Stella raised her hands in front of her face, trying to deflect the water spraying out from under the sink. With a splutter, she reached forward to grab the stopcock, her t-shirt bearing the brunt of the assault, and water pooled in her bra. Yuck! How do I turn the water off, Frank? Frank, her King Charles Spaniel, cocked his head. Stella's lungs squeezed together in panic, forcing the air out, but she gulped some back in with a deep breath. Grabbing the stopcock with both hands, she tugged hard, but still it wouldn't budge. Frank lapped at the water flooding over the kitchen floor. "Don't do that, you horrible dog! Go on! Shoo!" With a resigned harumph, Stella sat back on her haunches. No amount of mental determination could turn the rusted thing, and as she moved away from the soggy cupboard, water splashed over her trainers. Stella stood and put her hands on her hips while she surveyed the huge wet patch on her top. Fabulous! I look like I've been in some sort of wet t-shirt competition at a 1950s holiday camp. A soggy strand of hair fell onto her face. It was only then Stella realised how wet she truly was. It wasn't just her top that had been deluged. Literally everything was damp, even down to her underwear. As well as being in her bra, where the water had hit her jeans, she now looked like she'd wet herself. Things were not going well for the start of her new life. The little town of Swallowtail Bay, her new home, was supposed to be a dream come true, but so far on her very first day, she'd smashed a vase in her new shop, found that her new bedroom absolutely honked and came with a germ-infested bed, and now the kitchen had a leaky pipe. When she'd said goodbye to her beloved city of Oxford early that morning, her eyes had filled with tears. Though leaving a tiny rented flat with black mould on the kitchen walls and a strange cheesy smell whenever she opened the airing cupboard door wasn't a hardship. She'd lived her whole life there, and it was home. But the idea of a new start, leaving Isaac well and truly behind, had lifted her spirits. And if that hadn't done the trick, the view that met her when she drove towards the tiny seaside town had. The sea appeared on the horizon, its pale blue hue merging with the clear, cloudless sky above, and it was hard to tell where one ended and the other began. Even though she was soaked through, a smile spread over her face as she remembered seeing it. She'd followed the long road dotted here and there with sweet little churches to the shingled beach and a row of white beach huts interspersed with small fishing boats. On the green, purple crocuses burst into life and little clumps of daffodils raised their trumpety heads to the sky. Spring was the perfect season to make a fresh start. It was so hopeful and bright and happy. But since stepping over the threshold of her new home, things hadn't gone exactly to plan. Standing in her hideous retro kitchen with cold, wet toes was not how she'd imagined her new life would begin. But Stella Harris wasn't a sulker. She never had been, and mustering some of her old self, the tiny bit that remained after her heart had been battered and bruised, she decided she had no intention of starting now. When she summoned back the feeling of anticipation that had brightened her journey early that morning, butterflies once again danced in her stomach. As soon as the offer had been accepted, she'd started packing, and yesterday contracts had been...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?